John Busbee with the Culture Buzz, and it is always fun because about every other month I have the opportunity to share with you folks what is in the current issue of Iowa History Journal. And I will tell you this, you have got a dandy issue to dive into, to enjoy, to savor. The storytelling is vibrant. It is topical, which is surprising because some people say, well, if you're talking about history, that's already stuff that's past. Well, I think my guest could give us a strong tutorial that there is much more than what I've just said when it comes to the issue of history and all the stories there. My guest, Dr. William Friedricks. Bill has been a champion for history writing over the years. Quite honestly, whenever I want to dive into some rich historical reading, I will grab one of his books, one of his articles, whatever. I will reread his material because I always glean something new from it. And this cover story is no different. This is really kind of a gateway into a book that he wrote. We'll mention that in the process. But what Bill has written in the current issue of Iowa History Journal is Saved by Schindler's List. And it's about an amazing person. And I'm going to stop right there because, Bill, by the way, folks, you want to get connected to this. For you people who are subscribers, you already have the issue in your hand because they send it right to your doorstep. You can't get much more convenient than that. And for the cost of this a subscription each year, it is so worth it. Go to www.iowahistoryjournal.com. And if you're not a subscriber yet, but you're interested in getting this issue, you can add a couple of extra bucks, and publisher Michael Swanger will make sure you get this current issue, and then, of course, the next six issues besides that. So there, I've done my plug. It's shameless. Full disclosure, every so often I have the honor of writing a story for Iowa History Journal. But then again, you know my motto, arts is a contact sport. And so if you're not doing it in some form or another, then, well, by golly, you're missing the boat. Bill, I am so tickled that Michael approached you, or you approached that the two of you got together to share this cover story. Go ahead and lead into this, and I want to start with, why is there kind of maybe a special significance for sharing this cover story now?
Oh, well, the story is about a woman named Celina Karp Biniaz. She was one of the youngest members. She is one of the last Holocaust survivors left. It's incredible because anti-Semitism, it's scary. And I think by knowing about the Holocaust and studying it, we can learn how to try and avoid anti-Semitism or decrease its significance.
Well, that's a succinct way to put it. This story is filled with incredible photographs, which is kind of an enticing way for me to make sure you folks get your copy of Iowa History Journal, and you really should. What a captivating cover story. And she is also a keeper of some incredible artifacts that go back almost that 80 years to when she was in one of those horrific camp situations. But she is holding a special cup. And the look on her face, for someone that has survived what she has, knows what she knows, and knew what she knew, and there's a special kind of grace, and it's a profound look. I'm just going to stop there because I want you to start sharing some of your connections because you were able to spend some time with her, weren't you?
I was. Actually, just to go back to the very beginning, I heard Celina speak here at Valley High School in West Des Moines in 2017, and I was just in awe. It was an amazing story, but I had no idea I'd have the opportunity to write it. So when Sandy Yoder of the Iowa Jewish Historical Society approached me 2 years later in 2019, I jumped at the chance. And that's how I got involved time with Celina, but not as I'd initially planned. planned. I started the project in late 2019, but COVID hit in 2020, and I had to cancel my trip out to see Celina in March of 2020. So I did not meet her in person until July of 2021. And then I had a stage with Celina at the Reagan Library last July when we both got to talk about the book and her life.
Wow. The book we're talking about is his recent book, Saved by Schindler, The Life of Celina Karp Biniaz. And it is a magnificent book, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. He was the recipient of Humanities Iowa's Iowa History Prize for this book, and the book was also awarded the Midwest Independent Publisher Association's Gold Medal for the Best Book in History in 2023. And the beautiful thing about this book is it reads in such a captivating and revealing way that you will learn so much more. I think one of the things that I gained from your book and from your story in Iowa History Journal, Bill, is a much deeper understanding and an even greater empathy for what so many in the world survived and what so many more didn't survive. There's no way to dance around the issue to not talk about history in all of its contexts, even its most horrific, is to do a disservice for history in itself. But this is so important. Celina is someone who really made it a mission of hers to, again, grace is a word that comes to mind every time I think of her, but with grace, tell this story to as many people as possible. And so you're really becoming kind of a surrogate Celina storyteller as well, Bill.
So I really just tried to stay out of the way as best I could, put Celina's story in context, and then let the story come through. And Celina's story, at least for me, I wanted to be very careful and not just tell her story of the Holocaust, but I wanted to tell her entire life story because, as you said, Celina has been an amazing person and was able to put the horror of the Holocaust behind her and live a very successful and fulfilling life. But she did not 50 years later. Celina was, when she came to Iowa, she and her parents briefly talked about the Holocaust. This is in 1947. And people had nervous laughter in response. They really didn't want to hear it or were not interested. So Celina and her parents did not talk about their awful experience for years and years. And as you know from the article and from the book, it was first the book Schindler's List, which came out in 1982, but much more so the film, Spielberg's film, Schindler's List, that came out in 1993. That spoke her story on the screen, and Celina felt that it provided enough context for others that she could tell her story and they could make sense of it. So it's really not until the 1990s that Celina begins to speak about it. And when she does, as you said, she really makes it her mission to go all over the country and talk about the Holocaust, the terrible Holocaust, but then about forgiveness, the importance of forgiving people and moving on.
You mentioned a name that really it enhanced so much of this chapter of history, and that is Steven Spielberg. I know that you've thought about it. You studied what he brought to this issue. Give some thoughts, if you would, about the importance of what Steven Spielberg did for the remembrance of the Holocaust.
Well, I tell you, it wasn't just people on Schindler's List. Many, many Holocaust survivors were very hesitant to talk about their experience. And that changed very gradually in the 60s into the 70s. But it really isn't until Schindler's List hits the big screen and millions of people see it that many Holocaust survivors begin to understand that they can talk about it and they should talk about it. So Spielberg opens the door for many, many people to give their testimony. But maybe equally as important, he establishes the Shoah Foundation, which is now based at USC. And their mission was to collect testimonies of Holocaust survivors initially. And they have over 56,000 videotapes of Holocaust survivors.
As a historian, and for someone like me who loves history and is not a historian through academia or other things like that, I have learned that oral histories have a special power that just seeing a fact on paper or even seeing a transcript don't have. And it's something that I am hoping, because the medium, I should say, is so much ingrained in our society today, that I hope the younger generations are taking time to visit with the elders in their community and their family, in their world, and capturing these issues, because we don't always have the good fortune to have someone like a Celina Karp Biniaz to carry that banner forward for us. I ramble because I just am in awe of your story, your sharing, and I know you yourself are just simply saying, I'm a conduit, and a very grateful conduit for this story. Folks, if this is a story that you have not fully read, get your first just wonderful literary taste by getting the current issue of Iowa History Journal. And you too can read about Saved by Schindler's List, about Celina Karp Biniaz. And it is a magnificent piece of literature. Go to www.iowahistoryjournal.com. There's also a listing of all the retail outlets where you can get copies of Iowa History Journal. Whatever you do, most especially, is be sure that you are a subscriber, because I tell you, I know that Bill and I both enjoy being able to be the first ones to get our issues in the mail. It's always good stuff. If there's a takeaway when we wrap this up for some young reader, or let's say some parent or grandparent who is sharing this story with a young person, talk about what a takeaway you hope would be from one of these future generations to take from your story on Celina.
Well, I tell you, it seems to me that the biggest takeaway is, as Holocaust survivors are passing away, and they are, we need to continue to carry on their story. And it needs to be told today more than ever, it seems to me. So I think we need to take this seriously. We need to educate ourselves in the Holocaust, and then the story needs to be told and retold. And I think Celina's been a wonderful champion of that.
Folks, my conversation has been with Bill Friedricks. He is a champion for history, and we can claim him here in Iowa, but the ripples that he writes about extend well beyond our state, well beyond the boundaries of our nation and around the world. And his current issue, the cover story in Iowa History Journal, Saved by Schindler's List, is magnificent. Make sure you get it. Bill, much continued success with all the writing you do. I look forward to our next conversation, because I always know you and your pen cannot stop, which means that we will have another conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, John.